The 4x4 Club Challenge is brought to you by Bridgestone. Welcome back to the 2014 Bridgestone 4x4 Club Challenge. This is round 3, and it's hosted by the Nissan Off-Road Club at the Four-Wheel Drive Club of South Africa's Base 4 track near Hartbeespoort Dam. And while the operative word in the previous round was small, thanks to the pocket-sized Suzuki 4x4s, the more descriptive term here is extra large. Big Nissan Patrols lined up next to big Nissan Navaras and Pathfinders, with a Terrano and a handful of Hardbodys completing the Datsun party pack. A few guest teams also pitched up, hoping to claim some spoils ahead of the Nissan teams. These are the Oosthuizens, a father and son team that are Club Challenge newbies.
Yeah, my son will be driving. It's Pietri, and I'm Piet. I will be the navigator today.
Right, so on that note, it's time to quickly check into the traditional scrutineering where all kinds of safety checks are done. And before the Chief Marshal could say, everything keeps going right, Nissan, the first 4x4 arrived at Obstacle 1. Time to get jiggy with it. The event got underway with a bit of a curveball, or a curved wheel, if you like. This is Dion Vilmar and Peter Cressing in one of those burly patrols. They have to drive into a garage on a relatively steep incline, and then they have to change the right rear wheel.
Okay, your 5 minute starts now.
Easy, yeah? Not so much, because the angle and a marshal that keeps peering over your shoulder to award points for safety and whatnot is not exactly a walk in the park. And they have to change that wheel inside 5 minutes. With the clock ticking, Dion retrieves the jack and other tools and sets to work on jacking up the heavy Nissan.
Two minutes remaining.
Oh dear, they're running out of time fast.
10, 9,
Peter gets the wheel off and back on again. But
4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Do you agree your wheel is not back on?
Not that wheel.
Okay. So in other words, you got it up, you've secured everything, and you got your wheel off.
We did.
Okay.
well, 50 points isn't a bad start at all, as the patrol with one freshly changed wheel heads off to Obstacle 2. Our next customers are Peter and Gillian Buerta in a Hardbody. Peter uses a small mountain as a chock to ensure his Nissan doesn't run away, but as he gets the jack ready to jack, he's clearly forgotten to use his gloves. Uh-oh. Meanwhile, Gillian is keeping a close eye on proceedings, and you can almost hear her think, aha, so that's what the jack looks like. She also gets into the jack action, but that clock is ticking. And oh dear, they've also run out of time. But at least the wheel was off inside that 5 minutes, so that's 50 points in the bank. Or is it? Nope. They lost another 10 points. But why, Mr. Marshall, why? They were doing such a splendid jacking job.
The reason minus 10 for the gloves is because you have to have safety first. So if you don't have anything on your hands, you're likely to end up getting your hands caught, cut, something like that. He got 50 points for doing it, for getting the wheel off within 5 minutes, but less 10 for no gloves. So he's got 40 points.
The next obstacle isn't really an obstacle at all. Instead, as Peter and Gillian Buerta again arrive in their Hardbody, the teams are in for a round of Flinkdunk, or Who Wants to Be a 4x4 Driver, or something like that. Okay, Peter, your time starts now.
Give me 10 things that you would check on an obstacle, in any order.
Walk the obstacle.
One sec. Okay, go ahead.
Check for sharp objects, stones and so on. Check the width of the obstacle in relation to your vehicle.
Okay.
Check your
Can give you an hour if you want.
um,
You are gonna kick yourself on this one.
As riveting as it was, it's time to leave the flink dink behind and head to obstacle 3 for the first proper 4x4 test of the day. This is obstacle 3, and there's a bit of tennis involved here. Well, sort of. The teams have to navigate their way up an obstacle and gently caress the first of 2 tennis balls perched on top of a pole with the 4x4's front bumper. Hit too hard and the first tennis ball will take out the second one, resulting in no points. But just a gentle kiss with the front bumper, as the Nissan Hardbody of the Boertes demonstrates here, that's the way to do it. And here is the father and son team of Pietri and Piet Oosthuizen in a big Nissan Patrol. Remember, this is their first ever 4x4 competition, like in ever. So let's see how good they are at this tennis business. Steady on, Pietri, steady on. Oh dear, the Nissan takes out both poles. So that's 0 points. This is Lawrence and Sonia Farie, and they're in a Nissan Pathfinder. Let's see if their Nissan has the fine motor skills of a plastic surgeon, or if it's more like a bull in a china shop. Oh dear, bull in a china shop it seems. Skulk and Heino Krobler are next to attempt the tennis challenge in their Nissan Hardbody. And nope, they also strike out. And our last customers at this obstacle are Tim Klopper and Skulk Viljoen in a Nissan Terrano. This Terrano only has a limited slip differential, so getting up that last step before arriving at the tennis balls will be tricky. Tim will have to get his momentum just right. Oh no, they also take out both balls, so that's another 0 pointer. Oh dearie me.
Unfortunately, no score. I hit the ball too hard. On the left is a little bit of a bump I didn't see, didn't contemplate for, so just as the wheel went over that, it just nudged a little bit forward, and yeah, so just too much. But yeah, we tried, and it's good fun.
This is obstacle 4, and it contains an environmental trap that competitors have to be careful to avoid. There's also a steep and rocky climb, and a tight turn for good measure. Up first are Tinus Lotz and Peter Connon in a big and brawny patrol. It's obvious that the problem isn't getting up the obstacle for this patrol, it's rather the narrow track versus the girth of the big Nissan. And indeed, Tinus and Peter kill 3 poles dead.
Yeah, I think on a narrower car it will be easier, but we did it with ease.
And believing they can crack this one are Heini and Salumi Moton in a slightly smaller Nissan Navara. The Motons tackle the obstacle at a slightly more brisk pace than the patrol. In fact, a much more brisk pace than the patrol. But never mind the 3 flattened poles, the Navara is up.
Ek is eintlik weet nie hoe nie.
Net geweld.
Net geweld.
Our next customers are Andre and Rian Durant in a Nissan Hardbody. Taking a tip from the speedy Navara, the Durants also decide on the momentum is your friend approach, and the slightly smaller in dimensions Hardbody takes out only 2 poles on the way up. And here's another Navara, and this one is piloted by Johan Foster and Hein Stradom. After scoring 100 points on obstacles 2 and 3, Johan and Hein are clearly in it to win it. They take a much more subtle approach, with Hein providing plenty of direction.
Right. Hier is hy baie naby. Bietjie regs. Bietjie reaksie aan. Steun uit. Right, dis dit. Okay.
They also make it up, but the bulky Navara has taken out 2 poles on the way. So that's 50 points in the bank. Not bad at all, considering the size of the bakkie. We move along swiftly to obstacle 5, where the teams have to reverse their 4x4s through a narrow lane over some rocks and gently nudge a pole with a tennis ball perched on top without taking out a second pole, situated uncomfortably close to the first one. Here, Johan Forster and Hein Stradom come close to that pole, but no cigar.
Now send you out. Now you're still a distance from the pole, but you can hit your canopy.
Yeah.
That's fine. So let's not damage
Thank you.
That's all.
This is Christian Fasaki and Matthew Ritson in an older hardbody, powered by the famous Nissan VQ V6 engine, here appearing in 3-litre format. Christian and Matthew do a great job to avoid all the poles, but alas, they also end up short, not quite getting to the first tennis ball. But that's still a handy 75 points in the back pocket. Obstacle 6 is another reversing business, but here, the organisers have thrown the teams a little curveball. The co-driver has to reverse the 4x4 through a precariously narrow lane, with a tight turn worked in for good measure. This is Neil Fairberg and Luther van Sale. After scoring 0 points at the previous reversing obstacle, it was now up to co-driver Luther to get some points on the scorecard.
He was a driver on obstacle 5, and I'm a co-driver, so now we're swapping. So we're actually going to see who's the better driver at the end of the day. The co-driver or the actual driver.
Right, so let's see if Luther can put his money where his mouth is. Let's find out who really is the better driver. And he's finally done, after muchness. Time to find out how many points Luther scored, if any.
Luther dan om 5 man.
Oh yeah! I'm a better driver.
Ja.
Vryf.
The next victims are Ollie Olofse and Rian van Wyk in a big Nissan Patrol. And this is where it's going to get all kinds of tricky for Rian, who's never driven the big burly Patrol.
Let the games begin. Nee, raak. Gaan maar deur die bene. Dis al wat ek kan sê. Gaan. Ry, gaan. Kan jy nie te veel nie, ja, sê. Kyk nou. Kyk, gaan net. Draai.
Wearing the lucky number 13 on their lovely Navara is the Pretorius family. Thankfully, young Anita Pretorius was extremely optimistic about her mom's skills behind the wheel.
I would rather let my father drive instead of my mother. I trust my father more at this stage.
So let's take a ride with Henrietta and Yaku in Yaku's Pride and Joy.
Swam met jou country. Swap. Swipe. draai nou skerp na jou kant toe vorentoe.
After trying and trying and trying some more, Henrietta eventually gives up. And sadly, that's 0 points for the brave Henrietta. Obstacle 7 is a little bit easier on the neck muscles and consists of some axle twisters. It's also a happier hunting ground for the Pretorius family, as they score 95 points here. Up next are Noel Jones and Daryl Richards in a hardbody. And easy does it, easy does it. And they're through. And here's another hardbody, and this one is piloted by Willem Joubert and David de Beer. The two burly men score 100 points, easy as pie. Obstacle 8 is not a traditional 4x4 obstacle at all. Instead, here the teams have to stall their 4x4s on a steep, cemented incline, and then show the marshal how they would recover the 4x4 from this precarious position. It is, quite simply, the reverse stall start procedure. When the vehicle stalls on a steep gradient, the driver applies brake and engages the handbrake, keeping his left foot far away from the clutch. Next, he selects reverse after depressing the clutch and slowly releases the brake pedal and clutch until the 4x4 is held only by the handbrake and drivetrain. In one action, the driver then releases the handbrake and turns the ignition key without touching the clutch pedal. So the 4x4 starts in reverse gear, and the engine, braking in low range, will keep the speed to a crawl. The lowest score on this obstacle was 70 points. So it seems as if the lads and girls know their reverse stall start some. The next obstacle had another twist. Here the teams had to answer a host of general knowledge Bear Gryllish kind of questions about green trees and other whatnots that 4x4 adventurers should probably know. Here are patrol brainiacs Dirk de Klerk and Wilhelm van Rooyen.
What is South Africa national bird?
Blue crane. Blue crane, ja.
What is South Africa national animal?
Springbuck.
What is South Africa's biggest wetlands?
Biggest wetlands? St. Lucia.
Okay, St. Lucia.
And South Africa's biggest tree?
Must be baobab.
It's probably got the most wood in it.
Baobab. What is the difference between a white and a black rhino?
The lips. One eats grass, one eats leaves.
Perfect, 100 points.
Thank you.
Good.
This is the last obstacle of the day, and here's one of the guest 4x4s that came to do battle with the Datsuns. It's the Suzuki Jimny of Raymond Martin, partnered by Eric Porter. And here, the teams have only limited time to walk the obstacle and complete it. The teams also have to line up their 4x4s with the front bumper over a marker on the ground. The marshal takes a measurement and points are allocated accordingly. So let's see how the little Jimny rolls. Raymond gets through the first section okay. And now just for the measured stop.
Is us happy?
And yes, that's an extra 20 points to their tally.
Dankie.
This is Vaughan Ashford in another tough Nissan hardbody. Vaughan also gets through the first section without issues, and now just to line up the front bumper and he does it perfectly. He couldn't line it up much better than that.
Everyone clear?
Our last customers for the day are Cedric Warren and Liana Knussen in a patrol named the Iron Maiden. Cedric has a bit of a reputation for being a showman, so let's see if he lives up to that reputation.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I'm also happy. Fantastic. Handbrake on, let's go.
Yep, still a showman, and it doesn't stop there.
That was the day so far. It was a fantastic day. Ran around, great weather, great friends, great camaraderie between the Nissan club. As per normal, we always have a field day. It's very much a family club. My little terrorist over here, he's my spotter, my wheel changer, my wheel assistant. He got us through the whole day and saved us a couple of points. Knew all the general knowledge, so he showed up his dad.
With the day's 4x4 driving action concluded, co-sponsor Opposite Lock again provided patrons with a chance to get some winch action. The Opposite Lock Ford Ranger's VRS winch was called upon to winch competitors' 4x4s, and everyone got into the action. This initiative proved to be really popular. You'd be amazed how many 4x4 enthusiasts have winches fitted to their vehicles but have never actually used them. Anyway, time for some prizes. But before we get to the prize giving, a brief overview of the prizes up for grabs. The 3 podium finishers earn a spot in the 2014 Bridgestone 4x4 Club Challenge Final. On this event, 3rd place also bags a set of 200mm opposite lock driving lights, while 2nd place wins a set of Light Force driving lights, also courtesy of Opposite Lock. The winner of the event gets a 10,000 Rand tyre voucher from main sponsor Bridgestone. And then there are the overall prizes. 2nd place overall wins a 20,000 Rand gift voucher from Opposite Lock. And the overall winner will hook up a Conqueror camping trailer worth 50,000 Rand. In 3rd place overall were Tim Klopper and Skulk Viljoen in the Terrano. And in 2nd place were Vaughan Ashford and Lisa Williams. And winning the event overall was the Back to Basics Nissan Hardbody V6 Bakkie of Christian Versace and Matthew Ritson, with an overall score of 785 points. Next week, the lads and gals from the Isuzu Off-Road Club tackle each other. Till then. The 4x4 Club Challenge was brought to you by Bridgestone.